All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome everybody to the October session of CS Office Hours. Thank you all for taking some time out of your day to join us. Today's topic is navigating the Help Center. I hope some of you have been there before. If not, you'll learn a lot more about it today. This is a great tool to become a little more self-sufficient with your Luma tools. You can find all sorts of really rich Luma information in there, and we are lucky to have two co-hosts with us today. One is Ashley, who is our wonderful senior technical writer, and the other is Nathan, who is one of our newer customer success managers. So enjoy the session. Know that the session is recorded, so if you need to access any of this information later on, you will be able to. We'll have a Q&A session that we'll hold at the end. So please go ahead and put your questions in the chat as we go, and we'll be sure to answer them at the end of our session today. So Ashley, take it away.
Thank you so much, Bryce. I am thrilled to be here. Hello, everybody. My name is Ashley, and I am the Senior Technical Writer at Luma Health. I am so excited to talk today about the space where I spend basically all my time, which is our Help Center. There we go. Okay, so this is our agenda for today. We are going to do a really great, rich overview of the Help Center, tell you all about the different things that you'll be able to find there. I'm going to share some tips and tricks for effective searches to make your time in the Help Center even more efficient. I'm going to talk to you about callouts. This is a particular piece in our Help Center that I love, and it's an easy way for you to see important information at a glance. And then we're also going to talk about our community, which you may or may not be familiar with. That's definitely a topic that we're going to dive into. Of course, we'll have time at the end for questions. And last but not least, an opportunity for you to share some feedback with me about your experiences in the Help Center. So let's get going. So our first thing today is an overview of how our Help Center functions. The Help Center is a one-stop shop for information about Luma and all sorts of information about configuring your account. There is a major feature in our Help Center, which is release notes. Release notes are released every single Tuesday that describe changes that we've made during the previous week of development. And all of our knowledge-based content lives here in the Help Center. There are plenty of articles about configuring features and settings. You can find past office hour webinars on different topics. You can also access any trainings that you might have had with our product trainer, as well as any on-demand training content that is available 24/7 for everyone, such as basic training on what Luma is, how it works, how to use some of our core features. You can also share ideas and connect with the greater Luma community in our community area, which we'll be talking about later today. And of course, you can chat with our Luma support team, and you can submit tickets for any questions or concerns that you might have. So you can really do it all right here in the Help Center. So there are three different ways that you can access the Help Center. The first, which you'll be able to see in motion here on your screen, is actually clicking the question mark icon in your Luma account. So when you click that little purple icon, it actually jumps right into the Help Center in a separate window. Another option is that you can use the Help widget in the lower left corner of your Luma account, and you can search the Help Center without ever leaving Luma. So you can see what that looks like here. You have a little window that appears in the lower left corner. You type your search query and results appear just like they do when you're in the Help Center in your browser. You can scroll through, click links, you can find steps to complete different tasks. But if you can't find what you're looking for, there is the Contact Us button in the lower right corner of this window, and that gives you the ability to submit a ticket to our Luma support team. Now, once you're in the Help Center, the first thing that you'll know when you're in the Help Center in a browser is that below our search bar, we have some quick links that will take you to different areas in the Help Center. The first one is office hours. And this is where you can go to easily see any office hours webinars that we've done in the past. You click here and it'll give you a list of categories. So you could choose from broadcast or forms, any different topic that we've ever done an office hours on will be listed in the section of the website. Next, of course, release notes. This is one of my favorite parts of the Help Center. If you haven't guessed by now, this is where release notes live. So our release notes are published every Tuesday morning. They talk about all of the changes that happened the week before that you need to know about. You might be sitting here thinking, I feel like I've seen a little pop-up in Luma when I log in for the first day of the week, whether that's Tuesday or a different day. That pop-up has a link to the release notes. It's taking you to the release notes that this same link will jump you into. So when you're looking at release notes, we're actually going to pop into what this looks like. When you click that little quick link, it'll take you to a list of release notes organized by year. Sometimes you might need to dive back and find information, but more than likely you'll be jumping into the release notes for the current month. And when you do that, you will see, or when you jump in for the current year, I should say, you'll see a list of all the months, current and past, that have release notes so far. From there, you can jump into the dedicated article for the month, and that will have a table of contents and all of our feature enhancements and bug fixes. Now, one thing that I do want to call out, you'll notice at the end of our first release note here on this page, there is a reference number in parentheses. If you ever have a question about a release note that you're reading, or you want to find out more information, you can reach out to your customer success manager and include this reference number in your message. That gives your customer success manager an exact idea of where to go to help you get the information that you're looking for. So that's release notes. And last but not least, our third quick link is community. And again, we're going to be talking about this a little later in today's webinar, but to give you a quick taste of what this is, the community is an interactive area of the Help Center, and it allows you to share your product ideas directly with the Luma team. And you can also use the community to connect with other Luma community members and talk to them about ideas, suggestions, questions. It's a really hyper-connected area to be. When you're in the Help Center, if you scroll past those quick links, you'll get to a section just below it called Promoted Articles. These articles are what we think are the hot topics that you would really want to know about right now. They're especially relevant, they're especially interesting. The Promoted Articles section is the same for everyone. There is not currently an algorithm that shows different articles based on your role or your profile in our Help Center. So it's really based on the 6 articles that we are posting, but you can see all sorts of things pop up here. Information about how to use support more efficiently, information about early access programs that we want to highlight, maybe a brand new article about common questions people have about a particularly prevalent or relevant area of the software. Even trainings. So the promoted articles section changes from time to time, especially when cool new features get released. Definitely a good space to keep your eye on. When you keep scrolling past the promoted articles section, you'll notice that you start to see these folders. These are categories of all of our content. So imagine that the Help Center is a giant file folder, and each drawer is these bolded headers at the top. So we have a drawer with content that executives and leadership team members might be interested in. We have a drawer about basics for using Luma Health. There are drawers about acquisition and retention and the kinds of content that you might find in there, like referrals. And then within each of those drawers, you have your folders. Getting started with Luma Health, mission control, broadcast, reminders. So if you're trying to use the search and you're maybe not finding what you need, Another option is to scroll to these categories and find the category and dive into the content that way. It gives you a much more holistic view and gives you the ability to quickly scan article titles and even folder titles so that you can quickly get to where you want to be in the Help Center. Now, if you need to open a ticket with Luma support, you can do that directly from the Help Center by clicking Submit a Ticket. And when you do that, it'll open up the window for you to be able to send all of your questions to our Help Center. You can track the tickets that you've submitted and your activity in the Help Center in general by clicking your avatar or your name in the Help Center and then selecting My Activities. And from there, you can track tickets that you've submitted and activities that you've taken in the community. And we'll be talking about that shortly. I'm really hyping up the community. But before we get there, I want to take a quick poll, get everybody's fingers stretched and get you a little involved here. I would love to know how you access the Help Center. So a couple of questions here. How have you been accessing the Help Center? What have you been using to jump in and get the content that you need? And when you're accessing the Help Center and listening to what I'm talking about here, were any of these options new to you? So I'm going to give you a couple minutes to look through these questions and go ahead and submit your answers. Looks like a lot of people use that question mark button, which is a great idea in my opinion. It jumps you right into the Help Center, one single click, and we all know that everybody really wants to minimize the number of clicks that they have to do in a given day to complete a given task. So it looks like a lot of people are using that question mark button. And I'm also seeing that a lot of people knew about both the question mark button and the help widget, which is great. Also looks like there are a few people who didn't know about either of these options. That's also exciting because now you know about these options and now you can use them. We'll give it just a couple more seconds and then we'll end this poll. So if you haven't voted, I would really encourage you to do so. This information also helps me better understand how you're using the Help Center. All right, we're going to go ahead and end this poll and keep talking about how all the interesting things in the Help Center that I want to share with you today. And I'm not sure if you can see the results right now on your screen, but I find this fascinating. We've got the bulk of people using the question mark button to jump into the Help Center and the bulk of people who knew about both the widget and the button. So that's very exciting. All right. So let's keep moving. Now we're going to talk about some tips and tricks for especially efficient searching in the Help Center, because when you have a question, you want the answer as quickly as possible. You're all very busy. You're trying to get through your day, complete as many tasks as possible. And we want the Help Center to be something that supports you in doing that rather than being difficult to navigate. All right. So my very first tip is use quotation marks. And as a side note, these all work for Google. By the way, you can use this for any Google search that you're trying to do. When you use quotation marks, it helps the search engine understand that you're looking for a specific phrase rather than individual words. So as you can see here, when you search using the words My Chats, which is a section of our Hub feature, you'll get 165 results because the search engine is looking for any article that has the word my, the word chats, or the phrase My Chats. However, on the right side of the screen, we've got 10 results if we search using quotation marks, because now what we're doing is saying to the search engine, I specifically only want articles that have My Chats, the phrase, in the article. And that's going to really reduce the number of results and make your search even faster. Another trick that I have for you is to be as specific as possible. So if you search using a single word, for example here, broadcast, you're going to get every single article that has the term broadcast. So in this case, we've got a lot of results and a lot of things to sift through. But let's say that you're trying to send a broadcast specifically by uploading a CSV file. When you search for a phrase, and in this case, we aren't using quotation marks, you'll notice that. Just by searching for the phrase, the most relevant result that's coming to the top is actually a lot more relevant than what we were seeing only by searching for the term broadcast. So in the image on the left, I'm seeing a broadcast article at the top of the list, but it's about message shortcuts, and I need information about uploading CSV files. On the right, when I search send a broadcast using a CSV, and I didn't even have to use all of those words or an exact sentence, I just put in those relevant words. The first article that's popping up is the most relevant. And we don't have to worry too much about the fact that we have a really large number of results because, again, we didn't use any quotation marks. So the search engine is looking for any article that has any of those 4 words. But because we used a more specific phrase with more specific keywords, we are able to get the most relevant result to float to the top. And in this case, it's exactly the article that I need. I promise if you were to go and do this right now in the Help Center, you would get the exact same result. And then another tip that I have for you is searching for exact field names. So you've all probably at some point been in Mission Control. And in Mission Control, we have a lot of settings that you can use to configure and manage your Luma account. When you're in Mission Control, almost every single field has a specific key name. It might be underneath the description of what that field does. It might be underneath the field itself or above it. But when you search for that exact field name, you're going to get that exact article returning. And so here on the screen, you can see what happens when I search using a phrase versus the exact field that I want to learn more about. So in this situation, I want to set up an alternative facility phone number. I have 2 different results that are popping up here. On the left, I have a result about rerouting inbound calls. But on the right is the article that I actually want for the feature that I actually want, which is about forwarding inbound calls. And in that article, we can see at the bottom of my highlighted square, I actually am getting a result that shows me this is the exact setting that you are looking for. 1 result versus 176 results. I will definitely take 1 result every single time. And my last tip for you is to use filters. So you might have noticed when you're getting your search results, you've got this box on the left side that's by type. And you maybe have played around with it, maybe haven't really stopped and looked at it at all. But this is actually a filter. So when I get my 166 results for searching my chats, I'm getting every single possible result. Release notes, community posts, articles that I've written or that somebody else at Luma has written. And so you don't have to always filter down based on quotation marks or based on a specific phrase. You can use the tools that are available right here in the Help Center to help reduce what you're looking at. So in this case, I can actually go from looking at every type of document in the Help Center to specifically looking at articles. And then I can dive even closer by going and choosing the category that I want to be looking at. So maybe I don't want to get release notes because I'm looking for setup steps. I do want to go into patient communications because I know that I'm trying to get information about how to configure something related to patient communications. So I highly encourage you to play around with these different filters the next time that you are searching. One thing I want you to keep in mind before we move on is that as you go down the list of search results, they're going to get less relevant. So here I've jumped forward a couple of pages in my search results, and you can see this is that search that I did for setting up an alternative phone number. When you look at the different results that are on screen, none of these have the exact phrase that I was trying to get. And none of them even have the word alternative. This is the third page, I think, of results. So when you are flipping through pages of results, keep that in mind. The further you go, the less relevant what you find is going to be. All right, so I have another poll that I would like to share with you. Here we go. And let me see. Here we go. Again, this is my first time using polls, so thanks for bearing with me. So you're going to see this poll. I want to know, what is the first step that you take when you are searching for content? There are a few different options that we've talked about. We've talked about searching. We've talked about scrolling. I'm really curious to know what you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So I'll give you a few minutes to take a look at this. All right, it looks like a lot of people go straight to the search bar, and that is a great first step. I see somebody has responded that they search directly from the help widget. I love that. That's a great place to go as well. Very streamlined. I'll give it just a couple more seconds in case anybody hasn't participated and would like to register their feedback. All right. So I think that to share the results with you, I have to click this share button. So now I think you really are seeing the results this time. Wow, so a lot of people go straight to the search bar. And I think that that is great because that means you've got a thought on what you want and you are going to go and type the words that you think are going to help you get what you need. That's really very similar to searching directly in the help widget. The help widget is another search bar that will be giving you almost the same results. It won't give you 176 results listed immediately, but the most relevant results that are floating to the top, those are going to pop up right there in that help widget. All right, super interesting. And now I really encourage you to check out the help widget. If you are normally going straight into the search bar, see if the help widget gives you a bit of a different experience that you like. And for the person who is searching directly in the help widget, try jumping into the help center from that question mark button and see what you think. And if you want to keep using the help widget because it gives you that much more narrow list of results, that's great too. Everybody here, though, can definitely use the tips and tricks that we've talked about, especially those quotation marks. That's one of my favorite tricks. All right. So moving on, I want to talk about callouts. Callouts are one of my favorite things in the Help Center, and you might have noticed them before. They are little colorful boxes that have text about features, about licenses, about important tips, and I'm going to cover what they are right now for you. So there are 3 different callouts that you're going to see in the Help Center. The yellow callout is always going to have licensing information. And you're especially going to see this when you are either in an article that has 2 features that are dependent on each other. For example, patient scheduling plus and mobile intake forms. There's often a lot of crossover with those. And if you're using a feature in one that is dependent on the other product, then you're going to see this yellow call out just informing you that you have to have both of those products in order to use this particular feature. Another time that you'll see the yellow licensing information box is for EHR or PM specific information. So if you have Epic and you are looking at an article about a feature that you want to implement, but that feature is currently only available with Cerner or with eClinicalWorks, for example, we want to make sure that you're aware of that so that you know that that feature is not available currently, and you can then follow up and let your CSM know, hey, I really need this feature. Can we get this available? And we'll see what we can do. So that licensing information is going to be in a yellow box. The important information box is yellow, and you're going to see this one most often throughout the Help Center. This is going to be callouts that are really important considerations that you'll want to keep in mind, or additional helpful information that dives deeper into a particular topic. So you might see links to other articles if you need more information, if you're interested in a particular thing that was talked about in the paragraph above. So you'll see these orange call outs. They're very eye-catching, and those ones are important to pay attention to. The last call out that you'll see is our tip call out, and this is a blue box. It will always have helpful information that will keep your workflows efficient, help you find something. This is one of our most common tip boxes. You'll see it in any article about configuring a setting in Mission Control. And this one is just telling you a really fast way to access those different fields in Mission Control. So tip information is going to be something that you'll want to pay attention to it. It'll help you streamline your work. All right, and now we have come to our final topic, and the topic I have been tantalizing you with since the start of this webinar, and this is community. So you may or may not have noticed community on the homepage of the Help Center. And if you noticed it, you might have wondered what it was, but maybe you never clicked it. So we're going to talk about it today so that you can get involved in the Luma Health community. So the community is a space where you can make your voice heard. It's split into two sections. There's Submit Your Ideas and there's Ask Other Luminaries. We're going to talk about both of these sections. So Submit Your Ideas is an area where you can do exactly that. You can submit your ideas to our product team at Luma Health. We will see your comments and we will take your ideas and feedback directly to our product team. Sometimes we might already have a feature that can do what you're asking for, or we might have just released a release note or a feature that is discussed in release notes that we can point you to. And when those cases happen, we're going to let you know about it. We'll respond to your post here in Submit Your Ideas, and we'll give you the information that you need. Otherwise, we will always be happy to take your feedback, share that with our product team, and let you know what happens. The other half of communities is Ask Other Luminaries. And this is a space where you can post questions that can be seen and responded to by any member of the greater Luma community. Now, things are a little bit quiet in our Ask Other Luminaries section of the Help Center right now, but we have some plans in the works to make this space more like a big meeting area where you can really connect with other people who are using Luma and maybe have a similar use case as you, maybe have a similar question as you. So definitely keep your eye on the Ask Other Luminaries space, and I encourage you to start posting there too. Somebody has to be the first, right? And obviously we do have some people who have posted, but it's a pretty quiet area right now. And I encourage all of you to talk about this area with your colleagues, both at your organizations, at other Luma organizations that you know, and start to make this space your own. We will be right there with you, doing the same, encouraging you, collaborating with you, and really evolving this space. But I do want you to know that this space is available and to keep an eye on it because some exciting changes are coming. All right, our final poll of the day. I would love to know if you have had an opportunity or taken the opportunity to interact in the community. So let me know, have you ever submitted an idea? Have you ever asked another luminary a question? I'll give you a few seconds to submit your answers now. All right, and we have quite a split vote here in the Submit Your Ideas section. I've got about 4 people who say yes, they have submitted an idea, and 5 who say no, they haven't had the opportunity yet. And we've got somebody who did not know that that part of the Help Center was available. So that's very exciting. Now you can go and dig into it for yourself. And I'm not surprised to see we have a pretty solid no across the board regarding whether you have ever posted in Ask Other Luminaries. However, hopefully after today, you'll start to keep a closer eye on that area and maybe even post yourself. We'll give it another few seconds and then I will close the poll. All right. And I'll share these results so you can all see. It was pretty split and now it's sort of moved for the first question. We have a few more no's than yeses, but hopefully after today, you will all dive right into this section of the Help Center, take 5 minutes and just get familiar with it and start to make it your own. All right. And with that, we are now in the questions part of our webinar. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and drop them in the chat.
Yeah, feel free to ask away. We're here to answer any and all Help Center related questions. It looks like Nathan is working on a Q&A question there himself. So please add all the questions that you have. We'll take a few minutes to answer them.
So if you have any questions about any of the content that we've covered today, or any questions about the Help Center that maybe weren't covered, this is a great opportunity to ask those questions. Go ahead and submit them in the chat. We also have the Q&A section. If you are looking at your toolbar along the bottom of your screen, you'll see that there's a chat option and there's also a Q&A option. Either one of those is perfectly fine for submitting a question.
And Ashley, something I wanted to say that I thought was super cool and that I learned was that using kind of the specific setting name to really filter out a lot of the other content and really kind of focus on just that one setting and the information applied to it. So that's something I'll definitely keep in my back pocket as I move on here too.
Great. That's awesome. I will say that every single tip and trick that I have put in this presentation is a tip and a trick that I myself have used. I would never preach something I did not practice when it comes to documentation. And I am managing all like 500 articles that live in our help center. And so when you want to make an update to an article and you think to yourself, I know we have an article about that, but where is it? Those tips and tricks are what I use to find that article and get to it quickly so that my day is also efficient. Well, the other part of the presentation today, the other part of our ending of the presentation was that I wanted to provide people an opportunity for feedback. So the Help Center is where I live day in and day out. And I know that the Help Center is someplace that you all go from time to time. And I would love to know, as you are sitting here today, listening to this presentation, interacting with the polls and learning, about different things that maybe you didn't know. Did you have any thoughts or ideas about things that you would love to see in the Help Center? Have you ever thought, boy, I really wish that the Help Center did XYZ? I would love to know about that. And I would love for you to share it here because sometimes all it takes is the first person to speak and then the ideas start flowing. While people are thinking about those takeaways and sharing them in the chat, hopefully, I will say that one of the things that I didn't realize for quite a while, and I, again, spend my days in the Help Center, I didn't actually realize that we had those filters. Now, let me see, can I quickly jump to yes, I can. Hang on one second. Let me pull this up. These filters, I actually had no idea that these were filters when I first started working in the Help Center and using the Help Center. And it wasn't until I started playing with them one day that I realized that by clicking on these different options over here, that I have more categories that show up. And that was kind of an aha moment for me. Another way to quickly dive through all of the content that we have, because we do have a wealth of information on the Help Center, and it's only going to continue growing as we add more features to Luma and continue to innovate.
And if there are no other questions or comments, then we can go ahead and wrap up. I'll give it like 30 more seconds in case anyone wants to get any last minute thoughts in there. All right, well, it looks like that is it, everybody. Thank you again so much for joining us. Thank you so much, Ashley. Really appreciate you taking the time and sharing all that great content with us. I know you're working hard to make the Help Center the best it can be, and I know we all appreciate it, and our customers do as well. Thanks, Nathan, as well, for being here. And like I said, this is being recorded, so if you'd like to share this with anyone else on your staff, then feel free. And then keep an eye out for next month's office hours. November office hours will be on FQHCs. So keep an eye out for that. And we hope to see you at the next session. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.